Hello everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Alan Critchley for his invitation and for the organization of all this great event. I'm very glad to be here. It's a pleasure and an honor for me to be here. So I'm Vincent Doumézel. I am director for the food program at Lloyds Register Foundation, and as well senior advisor for the ocean at United Nations Global Compact. We'll see a bit more in detail what it is in the next slide. I am also co-leading with Philippe Potin and a few others the Safe Seaweed Coalition, which is hosted by the CNRS. And once again, we'll come back on what it means. What it means is that we are trying to build a global seaweed community to get together and address the issue that needs to be addressed to really scale up the seaweed industry and take the most of it. But let me first go through a quick introduction of the Lloyds Register Foundation, which is the entity funding this very innovative initiative. So Lloyds Register Foundation has nothing to do with the Lloyds Bank or the Lloyds Insurance that you may have heard of. It is a totally different entities, which is born in 1760 actually, so quite a long time ago, almost 300 years ago, and it's based in London. Obviously, it's a charity that owns a very big group. So this big group is Lloyds Register Group. Which is a global leader in verification and certification and all type of assessment, notably shipping classification, food verification, food ISO certification, and all that kind of thing. So there's a global group of around 10,000 people with offices all around the world, notably in Southeast Asia, where we deliver services to our clients, big ship owner for marine, big energy providers, but also big brands, big food brands. Notably, we have a big business in the food industry, serving the likes of Nestlé, Danone, Cargill, Mars, Coca-Cola, and so forth. So we are one of their service providers for verification and certification. This group is fully owned by a charity, which means that any profit that is made with the likes of Danone, Cargill, and Nestlé is collected by the charity and is redistributed. And a couple of years ago, this charity, the Lloyds Register Foundation, which has once again 100 and so active grants, active in 26 different countries, over 120 million pounds of active grants at the moment. 2 years ago, this charity has decided to support the food business, the food industry, to make it safer and better and more resilient. And they decided to support notably the seaweed business because they think that seaweed can really be one of the most untapped resources, maybe the greatest untapped resource we have on the planet, and that if we want to address the challenge of our generation, we need to use seaweed. So Lloyds Register Foundation decided to fund £4 million for this once again this global seaweed coalition, and we'll see what they will do with that. And supporting the Lloyds Register Foundation, we have another organization which is very global and very international, which is the United Nations Global Compact. So a quick overview. So it's the world's largest corporate sustainability initiative. It has been brought together by United Nations, and it's a voluntary initiative based on CEO commitments from over 13,000 different businesses committed to the principles of United Nations, very sustainable, committed to the sustainable development goals that you can see on this screen. So we have over 3,000 non-business members, which are more NGOs and IGOs. We are working with over 170 countries and 60 global networks. So I'm working half of my time for the charity, for the foundation, and half of my time for United Nations Global in order to drive and to support their action into seaweed and make of seaweed a very global business, because we think that if you want to support seaweed, it needs to be global. It cannot be only regional. It cannot be only national. Ocean has no border, so it has to be global. And And if we can step back a bit on how started this whole story. In fact, I started to work in seaweed with a charity back 5 years ago when we started to develop collocation in the North Sea in Europe. Collocation meaning that we use the offshore wind farms area to grow seaweed. Because it is a preserved area, so it's very safe and there's no ship passing by, and you can do, and actually it's not very deep, so you can really put ropes in between the wind farms and grow seaweed there. So I started that 5 years ago, and working on a daily basis with the likes of Nestle, Danone, Cargill, and so forth, I realized that they were not aware at all of the potential of seaweed, that they were still to realize what you can do out of seaweed. So I was invited quite incidentally last year to a big meeting in the UN, in the UN head office in New York, and I was invited just as an observer because there was a big ocean meeting, and I was with the foundation already working with the UN to define the content of a big ocean meeting. And then at some point I took the floor and I raised the point about seaweed. I raised the fact that seaweed was an untapped resource, that it could solve a lot of different issues. And after that talk, which was a 3-minute talk, I was approached by many of the large and global organizations, like the UN Global Compact, like FAO, like WWF, like World Bank. And then we decided that we had to do something. We had to do something very powerful and global. So United Nations Global instantly onboarded this initiative, and we decided to map what was the potential of seaweed, what seaweed was meeting as a global challenge, as this around this sustainable development goal that you can see, these 17 sustainable development goals. And here we are with this map here. Seaweed support meeting a lot of SDGs actually, and you know that better than I do actually, because you are the real seaweed specialist. and I have a food background actually. I used to work with Nestle, and I was really trying to find a way to feed the world with them, and seaweed to me was my best bet. Because indeed, as it is stated here, seaweed can be a very, very sustainable food source for human consumption. It is a nutritional bomb. It has a lot of benefit. It is very, very healthy as a food. It is not very well known outside of North Asia, how good it can be and how beneficial it could be for our Earth and for our planet as well. So very, very good source of food, first point. Second point, life below water. It is absorbing a lot of pollutants from ocean waters. It is cleaning waters. It is providing habitat for marine life below water, and it is regenerating the ocean. It supports biodiversity in the ocean. And in that sense, it's a very, very important topic. Actually, and you may know that better than I do as well, it's a very good source of revenues for coastal communities. It supports a lot the coastal community situation. So that's very important as well. It is alleviating poverty, and a lot of these jobs are done by the fisherman's wife actually. So as such, it supports as well gender equity and women empowerment, which is something very good. SDG 5, which is a key one. It is also supporting production for vitamins and pharmaceuticals and a lot of other health products. It is a source of fertilizers. It is really restoring, it's more a biostimulant. I mean, when used for land, it can really support better growth of the plant. And it can also support, it can be a source of animal feed as well, with a lot of very interesting side effects. Source of animal feed for fishes, as well as for livestock on land, and a lot of very good positive side effect, because actually it boosts immune system from the animals and support that, and as such you decrease the need for antibiotics. And so you can really work around antibiotic resistance and try to address this big issue of our future, feeding our livestock with seaweed. And you may have heard from this as well. There's also a very interesting project using the potential of a very small seaweed, Asparagopsis, which is cutting methane emission by quite large, and methane emission being a strong contributor to the greenhouse gas. So once again, very good potential to feed human being, animal, and support growth of the plant. So another very interesting aspect of seaweed is a carbon sequestration aspect. It does sequester a lot of carbon. We are struggling to find a way to take the carbon where it used to be, which is underneath the seabed, when it was for millenniums. And this seaweed, they have the potential to put the carbon, to take the carbon from the atmosphere and to put it back under the ocean. So even if you don't consider carbon, sinking your seaweed, even when you grow seaweed, a large part of the biomass is lost during the growth phase and is sequestered in the deep ocean for quite a long time. So that's a very important source of carbon sequestration and a net positive impact in terms of global warming, which is so important. It contributes to ocean deacidification. It's a source of biopackaging. I have here a glass which is made out of seaweed. I have here a box which is made out of seaweed as well, you see. So this is kind of things you can do with seaweed. It is biodegradable. It is also sometimes edible. So you can eat the packaging as you eat the seaweed, as you eat the content of the packaging. So there's a lot of different potential for seaweed, and more importantly, it should support once again a new type of aquaculture, which is more around the permaculture in the ocean. So this new type of aquaculture is the way forward. We have, and the rationale of this was like, we moved in fact away from prehistory to modern history back 12,000 years ago, when we stopped being hunters gatherers and we became farmers. Then that we became modern human being, so called. So all our civilization is based on farming, and we have never farmed the ocean so far. We are still hunters gatherers. And that cannot continue like this. We have to become a civilization of the ocean. We have to build interaction between the ocean and between the land, and we have to support our food system and all these other different industrial applications using seaweed. So in order to do that, we decided to tell the story. We decided to create a manifesto, and that was the first step towards the Safe Seaweed Coalition. So the manifesto was a way to tell the story to everyone. How good is seaweed? What is the potential of seaweed? This manifesto was science-based. We were working with the Ningbo University, with university in Japan, in France, in UK. We were working with the Food Agriculture Organization, WWF, Cargill, Ocean 2050, which is Alexandra Cousteau organization, the World Bank, and many others, of course. And we built, through a consensus, it has to be a consensus, we built this manifesto. And this manifesto was really around what is the situation, where are we going, and how can we enable the potential of seaweed. So we have thousands of downloads. It went very big when we launched this manifesto last year in 2020, and it started to be very successful. So the manifesto, you can download the manifesto here, www.seaweedmanifesto.com, and it made a big buzz when it was released. And once again, it was led by Lloyds Register Foundation and United Nations Global Compact. So the manifesto vision was the following. The seaweed industry is immature and fragmented outside of Asia. We need to support bringing people together. We need to convince the seaweed stakeholders. There's a lack of global standards as well. There's a hilly patchwork of regulation from many different countries which are not consistent at all, and we need to support more consistency in terms of standards to really enable the creation of a global market. There was also scattered data. We didn't have any data. We didn't have any understanding of what was going on. once again, except with the exception of North Asia and South Asia for the Caraghinal market, I mean, all the production was scattered, which was made by very brave pioneers who were working in isolation, lack of data, limited environmental requirements, which is in the developing countries leading to difficulties to get permit, to get license to operate, and to get social licensing from coastal communities. People are quite scared with seaweed. They are thinking about seaweed as an invasive species, like the sargassum tides we have in the Caribbean and the green seaweed tides we had in France. So they are quite reluctant to let seaweed cultivation going on all around. So we need to have very thorough and very solid environmental requirements. There was also technology gap. There is some progress to be made, some innovation to be made, and a need as well for a dietary shift in the Western world. People need to get used to eat seaweed. So the 5 key aspects we identified were: we need global collaboration, we need harmonized standards, we need environmental safety, we need scientific research, and we need coordinated investment. All in all, the vision was we need a responsible and restorative seaweed industry playing a significant role in global goals and contribute to food safety and security in the world, and support life in the marine ecosystems. In order to do that, with the foundation, first of all, we released the manifesto, and it was very, very big buzz once again. We were in all news with the UN Global Compact supporting it as well, with all these manifesto partners, Financial Times, RFE, CNN, The Economist, all CBC in Canada. We had a lot of very, very interesting articles, broadcasts, and so forth. So it was very, very vocal. We are invited to introduce our manifesto in many, many different occasions and conferences. And then, at the conclusion, with the foundation, we decided to build a global coalition. What is this global coalition? Once again, the global coalition is funded by the Lloyds Register Foundation for £4 million. It has £1 million is going to Wageningen University in order to really support fundamental research on safety for seaweed. Why safety? Because we think that safety has a strong convening power. You don't compete on safety. You may compete on sustainability. You may compete on how cheap is your product or good is your product, but you will never say my product is safer than the other, because you don't want people to perceive that seaweed isn't safe. So seaweed has a strong convening power. So we gave £1 million to Wageningen University in Netherlands to support fundamental research, and we gave £3 million to the CNRS in order to support the building of a global coalition, gathering all seaweed stakeholders and building collaboration, as well as supporting directly projects in order to improve the level of safety. So 80% of these £3 million are to be distributed by the coalition to projects in order to support safety. It can be consumer safety, so it can be how safe is the food, how safe is your product, how safe is your packaging, and so forth, to make sure that we have global standards, and we are engaged with the FAO on that to really develop a global safety protocol for food packaging, animal feed, and so forth. We need to support as well environmental safety, to have very robust environmental standards to clarify the situation. It is safe to cultivate seaweed. You can grow seaweed, it's not a problem. So we need to have a strong documentation on that. And the last safety topic that the coalition wants to address and support is the occupational safety. We need to make sure that our workers are safe and working in safe environment, and that's so important as well, especially in developing countries where some people cannot swim and so forth. We need to make sure that they are fully safe. So that's the 3 fundamental objective of the coalition. So if you go more into the detail, that's the global perspective. So once again, support standards and regulations, support innovation for safer production, ensure high-skilled operators share knowledge. Then the scope, what we have seen, improve global standards, upscale the seaweed industry with a collaborative and optimized supply chain. That is the objective of the coalition, and I would call every one of you to join this coalition, and we will see how to do that right now. Before that, I'd like to have a quick look at our governance. So in this coalition, we have a steering committee, which is made of the Australian Seaweed Association, the Korean nori industry, Seagrant in the US, FAO, the JEF, CNRS, Nestle, Return Food, SAMS, SINTEF, Zanzibar clusters, and many others, and United Nations Global Compact, of course. So they are all part of our steering committee that will validate the grant that should be supported by the coalition. We also have an advisory board. I'm not going to list them all, but you see that there's a wide representation. So there's a real global representation in the advisory board that will benchmark the define the call for proposal that we need to make, and benchmark the different proposals. So we have these two instances, which is part of our global governance, and you can see that the coalition is really led by a very large and wide group of people. But the coalition is not only them. Of course, the coalition is most importantly all our members. So, and in order to define the priorities, define the project that we want to fund with the coalition, what we will do is really to support a global discussion. So we have currently roundtable discussion on specific topic where we are gathering experts across our members. So those who are already registered, and you have the list of topics that will be discussed by a group of 10 to 15. There might be several roundtables per topic sometime in order to accommodate different time zones. But we want a group of 10 to 15 people to discuss what should be the priority for the foundation, for the coalition, sorry. What should be the priority? Should we fund environmental safety? Should we follow global standards for environmental safety? Should we fund something, a training program? Should we focus on a certification program? Should we focus on traceability? What should we do? How to give visibility to investors who are willing to invest? So what should we do, being innovative, using at best these £3 million that were invested by the foundation? So we have a 2 to 3 months ongoing discussion right now. It's going on. You can register to the foundation and raise your interest to participate to one of these roundtable, to say, hey, we need to fund something related to that, or there's this project which is interesting that we may need to support something in around this project or around this thing. So once again, over to you. Join us, be part of the coalition. The membership is fully free. You just need to register, which is a very easy process. And once you are registered, you can become part of the global map. You see here, you have a list of, when you go into our coalition, when you go in our portal, which is the safeseaweedcoalition.org, where you can register, you have a global view on all these different solutions that are existing. And if you click on the button here, then you can have a full detail about this solution, what it is producing, where, what are they looking for? Are they looking for investment? Are they looking for clients? Are they looking for suppliers? Who is the main contact? What is our website? So the idea is really to map the seaweed stakeholders all around the world in order to bring them together. At some point, we will invite all these members to get together for real once we will all be allowed to do that, and when the sanitary situation will be cleared, we will be able to get together, all of us, and really enable a global discussion. But until that, I strongly urge you to again join us, so you can sign up here, become a member. Actually, if you go here, as soon as you will get into the coalition, you will see that the button become a member. Here you sign up, you enter your detail, you have to add your company if you are a seaweed organization, because you can register even if you are not, even if you are an investor, if you are an NGO, you can register there. Add, if you are a seaweed company, add your company as a solution in order to get visible for clients, to get visible for investors, to get visible for NGOs. So we know what you're doing, we know that you exist, and you can be part of the discussion with the coalition to define the priorities of this coalition. We want it to be very interactive. So once again, we'll be glad to support you. We are at the very beginning of an exciting journey, building a global community. It's a charitable work. So Safe Seaweed Coalition is led by Philippe Potin, that you know very well. We have Kevin Casella and Azedine Badis who are taking care of the coalition on a day-to-day basis, and who will be glad to support you if you have any problem with the registration. We have a senior advisor who is a former World Bank, very high profile, Nicola, who is supporting us to better engage with very high profile, and then myself. That's the core team, the secretariat, but once again the coalition is much more than this. If you want more detail, I strongly urge you to you have my full details here, and a nice scribe that was made by a journalist about me. So yes, we are calling for the seaweed revolution, because we think that seaweed is the greatest untapped resource. It's a good news, and people are craving for good news at the moment. We need to make the world a better place, and we need to be remembered as the first generation who is feeding the entire world population with safe and sustainable food. And I think we really have the potential to do this, and all together, and it can only be all together, we will make it. We will make it possible. Thank you very much to all the organizers once again, and once again join us and join the discussion. Speaking to you very soon. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Bye.